Those attacks over the weekend on Saudi Arabia's oil facilities cut more than half of the kingdom's output, and it sparked fears of a global supply crunch. The result was the biggest one-day gain for domestic crude prices in almost 11 years. They rose about 15% after having been up as much as 20%. And the shock rippled through other markets as well. It sent shares of ExxonMobil and Chevron higher, making them two of the best performing stocks in the Dow today. Refiners took a hit because many depend on Saudi Arabia's distinctive heavy crude, and offshore oil drillers rose. Airline stocks fell on concerns about higher fuel costs. Cruise lines came under pressure for fear that the price spike could become a drag on their earnings as well. So what happens next? That's the question many are asking, and one that Seema Mody set out to answer.
The attacks on Saudi oil production facilities are being called unprecedented in the history of the global oil industry. 5.7 million barrels of daily oil production were knocked offline, roughly 5% of the world's daily oil production.
This is the largest single-day interruption of oil supply. This is the nerve center of the Saudi Arabian energy system, Abqaiq. Al-Qaeda tried to hit Abqaiq in 2006 and failed with 2 truck bombs. The fact that a group was successful over the weekend is terrifying.
Most experts say whether oil moves higher from here depends on how the Saudis and OPEC respond. Saudi Arabia has been in talks with members of OPEC and non-OPEC nations like Russia to assess what steps should be taken next to limit disruption and minimize shocks to the energy market.
The spare capacity in the world that comes from OPEC producers mostly resides in Saudi Arabia. When the Saudis can't come to the rescue, it leaves about 1 million barrels per day, with everyone including Russia. So that's a very narrow cushion against a supply shock.
Energy analysts are trying to figure out how much damage was inflicted on Abqaiq, a Saudi oil plant that was targeted in Saturday's attack. At this point, they say it will take some time before Saudi's oil production returns to full capacity.
I think we're talking weeks to months before it's fully restored.
Experts say this could present an opportunity for U.S. energy producers, and it's all of the U.S. supply that makes this oil shock different. The American energy market has grown substantially in the last decade, perhaps making this supply shock a little less painful.
There's nothing that better illustrates the twin effects of U.S. supply buffering the risks to the global system and also the weak demand environment in which we find ourselves.
With tensions high in the Middle East, analysts say oil prices will likely remain higher for the foreseeable future. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Seema Mody.